Great minds think alike. Meteorologist Jason Frazer here.
Said connection was not available for a second, Jason, but
okay.
we seem to be good now. So,
hi, everybody.
Yeah, meteorologist Matt Wintz, Jason's with me. We are having an interesting day in the Weather Center, to say the least.
Yeah, we certainly are. You know, we've been warning people all weekend that the snow was going to come and that things were going to be a little bit dicey in around the area, and that's pretty much exactly, Matt, what we're seeing right now.
Definitely. Things starting to change before us. A lot of you starting to see that heavy, wet snow now. Some of us still going to change everything over to that wet snow tonight. So let's get you up to speed on the latest. Now that we've got some people joined, we're going to flip this camera around and we're going to talk the latest in terms of the maps. Jason, you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, so if you are in Cuyahoga, Lake, Ashtabula County, basically all these counties right here that are in pink, you are under a winter storm warning. Basically what that means is you can see conditions that are indicative of some pretty heavy snow amounts as we go throughout the night and into tomorrow as well. If you're in what we call the light blue, I guess, what would you call it? Light blue?
I would call it baby blue.
Under a winter weather advisory. But one of the things that you may notice is that if you live in Millersburg or just south of there, you guys aren't under any sort of advisory or any warning, and that is because that's where we're expecting to see really the lightest amount of snow. So this is really an event where I do think that if you live along the lake or pretty much in our primary or secondary snow belts, you're going to see some either light to moderate snowfall.
Absolutely. But this is one of the things to note, that we're going to see snow for everyone this afternoon and tonight, as we've been mentioning. I'm going to quickly get, because this is Facebook, exactly what we're going to do. Phil's already bragging about how warm it is down in Mexico, 81 degrees. Phil, please send that our way. And then Tristan asks, Matt and Jason, Chardon and Chesterland, are they going to get worse conditions than one another? So that's exactly what Jason was just talking about with our winter storm warnings out for not just Lake Geauga, Ashtabula County, but Cuyahoga County as well. This is anticipation not of the system snow that we have over the next couple hours. This is because we're going to have some lake effect snow that kicks in tonight and then tomorrow. So that's why we are expecting heavier totals. So yes, short answer is yes. Chesterland in areas. We've got a pretty dynamic storm system taking shape. We've got an area low pressure down southwestern Ohio. Notice the amount of moisture coming in. We talked about this over the weekend if you joined us. We were talking about it last week, how we would have that changeover. We've got the moisture in place. We've got cold air building south into this, and that's changing our rain over to snow. Again, a lot of you are already seeing those wet, kind of sloppy snowflakes, but look at all the moisture that we have trailing all the way back to Indiana. So we've got a good 3 to 6 hours here where we're going to be getting some precip. So let's go a little bit more local here. And Jason, what are we seeing here in terms of the latest radar?
So basically it's a mishmash, okay, of what's happening. Some of you right now are seeing some snow, some of you are seeing rain showers, and some of you are kind of seeing that mixing that's going on here. So as we zoom in here, one of the things I do want to show you here is when you see some of these darker blues, that's pretty much indicative of snow. But as you start to get into some of these pinks, right, that's basically the radar picking up on some type of changeover, whether it's snow, whether it's rain. It's kind of a mix or two. And as we go farther east towards where the radar right now in Cuyahoga County, you are either seeing some rain showers, you're kind of seeing this weird mix, or you're even seeing a little bit of snow, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's right. And interesting, Jason, here, it looks like heavy rain here. Anytime you see yellows and oranges on radar, you would think heavy rain. We don't have heavy rain on there. What the radar is actually picking up are some of those bigger snowflakes just above the surface. Remember that angle of the radar is heading up into the sky. So just above the surface, we're seeing some bigger snowflakes here. So we're expecting the changeover soon for areas of Medina County, even Lorain County. I think in the next, you've been targeted. So everyone's going to change over to snow here next couple hours. I do think the last half or the last portion of the viewing area to change over to snow will be this area right down in here. We were just talking temperatures, and Jason, you were talking midday hour today. You did live on Lakeside, and temperatures much warmer down to the south.
Yeah, and that is all because of the winds. A lot of times, if you watch me on weekend mornings, you know, and talk a lot about the winds, depending on where the wind is coming from, that's usually pretty much indicative of where the temperature is going to be. If you have a wind coming out of the south, that generally means that we're going to see much generally means you're going to have some colder temperatures. So look at what's pretty much happening right now. These are current temperatures. So right now in downtown Cleveland, it's 38 degrees, but look at where that wind is coming from. It's coming from the north, but over in Dover as well as Carrollton, I should say, you guys are seeing much warmer temperatures, 48 over in Dover and 50 degrees right now down there. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that everybody over in downtown Cleveland says, you know what, I really wish that we had those 50-degree temperatures. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen. You the hour by hour, because I know that the big question that we have been getting throughout the day has been, when is this all going to happen in my neighborhood, and when are we finally going to see all snow? So as I've been saying throughout the last couple of hours, I do think 6 o'clock I think is a pretty good indication for us here in Cuyahoga County when we are finally going to see much more snow rather than rain showers. But if you live on the southeastern edge of our viewing area, so we're talking about Dover as well as even the Canton area, I do think it's going to happen a little about 9 o'clock. The farther southeast you are, you're going to see that changeover happen much later. So likely around 9, even 10 o'clock, Matt. I think that that's probably a good indication.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. We're all snow by 9. Notice it's just a light to moderate snow, but pretty steady. As you saw on that radar back at the beginning, we had all that snow all the way back through Indiana and Illinois. So we've got several hours, not a lot of breaks in it. It's going to be pretty steady in terms of the precipitation over the next 4 or 5 hours or so. But then we start to talk the transition. So notice the colder air building in terms of roads and snow-covered roads. I think we're okay through the evening rush hour. I think even beyond that, because temperatures, as Jason was showing, still in the mid and upper 30s, even 40s as you get down towards the south. So road conditions should be fine as we go throughout the next several hours. But it's really the 8, 9, 10 o'clock hour. We start to bring these temps at or below freezing in spots. We've lost that solar radiation from the sun, so we've got no heating whatsoever. I think that's when things start to fall apart. And then beyond that, Jason, that's when things start to switch over tonight. So what are we seeing once the system moves out? What do we have here?
So one of the things that I remain concerned about, Matt, is right around sometime between midnight and about 3 a.m. I know a lot of people tend to be asleep during that time, but that's pretty much when we're going to start to see temperatures slide into the 20s. And once you have those temperatures, those surface level temperatures going down to the upper 20s, what ends up happening is you could potentially have some black ice. That, of course, makes not only the sidewalks slippery, but also some of the roads slippery as well. And then you could potentially end up seeing some power outages as well. So just make sure that you have the cell phone charged. Make sure that you have some gas in your car as well. I can't tell you how many times we constantly hear have gas, and then they end up getting stuck on the roads. Now, some of you, as we take a look at hour by hour, some of you may end up getting a break from some of these snow squalls that move across your area. So don't think that if the snow stops falling in your neighborhood that you're like, you know what, we're done, we're good. I don't know what the meteorologists were talking. This is going to continue to be an event throughout the next 24 to about 36 hours. So Medina, as well as Lorraine, Elyria, Worcester, we're going to continue to see some light to 2 o'clock. We start to get a little bit of clearing here over in the Sandusky, Norwalk, Mansfield area, but then that primary snow belt, we're talking about Mentor as well as the Ravenna area, you guys continue to see that snow falls, and that's part of the reason why we've been saying, Matt, that this is where we think some of those higher snow totals are going to end up being when both not only the storm is over, but then that lake effect snow finally ends.
Yeah, that's it. I just noticed Jen says on here, every year I ask myself why I still live here. Jen, sometimes I think the same thing, but Christmas morning with events like this until we have to deal with it and brush off our car. But as Jason mentioned, there's going to be a big transition tonight. So we go from the system snow that everyone sees, that will wind down during the early morning hours, and then we tap into our good old friend lake effect. And it doesn't look like a singular band. It doesn't involve areas east of Cleveland. This is going to be a widespread lake effect event tonight, and that's what we're going to be waking up to tomorrow morning. So let's go back to about 3, 4 a.m. This is when superintendents are waking up out of their beds, and this is likely something that they'll see on radar are these multiple bands snow bands. You can be out of it 1 second, you have clear skies, you have dark skies off to the north and the south, east, west, and then you get into that and you've got near whiteout conditions. Now, conditions on Lake Erie are favorable for some very robust snow bands tonight, simply because lake water temperature is still sitting near 50 degrees. We've got some very, very cold air aloft up in the atmosphere. This is going to help those clouds to grow perhaps up to 8, 9, 10,000 feet high. That is incredible for this time of year. So
potential for thunder snow.
For thunder snow,
we're
absolutely.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, snowfall rates out of some of these bands. But again, some people aren't going to see anything in terms of lake effect. Others, maybe down the street, you may have several inches of snow. But in terms of timing, that lake effect will take over 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. May get a little break after the system snow moves through. That typically happens. And then we're dealing with lake effect bands. Eventually, they may combine into maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 bands as we go throughout the morning hours, and then eventually, as Jason was saying, we're down to 2, we think, by tomorrow evening as things start to wind down on Wednesday. Notice how everything kind of transitions off to the north. But
Matt, look at those. Briefly talk about those temperatures. So after not only the lake effect snow ends, but also the system moves out of our area, some spots tomorrow evening, I mean, Matt, we're talking about the upper teens. Now, this is way below normal. This is not something that we typically see in November. And it's important to remind folks, we haven't officially even begun the season of winter yet. So this is something that I'm very nervous about. Medina, you guys might be around 13 degrees by Wednesday morning, 14 degrees over in Asheville.
This morning
Yes.
is Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Fresh snowpack down, clear skies. We'll have lighter winds away from the snow belt, and we have maximum cooling.
And again, I mean, we could see some areas not only see some black ice as well. The other concern that we, of course, have is, some of those slippery roads as well. A lot of people are going to possibly be seeing the sun, maybe on sometime on Wednesday and thinking, hey, you know what, all's good, we're good to go. And when in actuality, that's not really the case.
I like to call that deceiving sunshine.
Deceiving. Okay, wait. So Susan says thunder snow with a smiley face, please. Hey, Susan, I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that we get some thunder snow. I know the folks, probably over at ODOT are like, no, we're hoping not for any thunder snow. Hi there, over to Maria from Chesterland. I don't know. I don't think it snows in Lyndhurst.
So she moved from the snow belt to still the snow belt, but not quite the snow belt.
Okay.
Maria Lyndhurst is going to get some snow from this one. We don't know exactly how much, but you stand a pretty decent chance at some decent lake effect snow. So nice move. Hope the home is warmer.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back here in Ohio. Lori, up at 4, snow blowing my lawn for the dogs. Yeah, if you're an animal lover and an owner like I am, one of the things you always get really concerned about is whenever you see this significant snowfall is how am I going to walk, the little ones and whatnot. And the best thing I could tell you to do is, as you are thinking about when to really walk the dog, just make sure, obviously, that they have a sweater on and pads, because, every single year, people who their dogs or their cats or their animals get frostbite,
right?
Because
just like us.
Yeah. So when you talk about, the temperature obviously slipping down, the winds also picking up just a little bit, frostbite is obviously a very big concern for some of our furry friends.
This is going to be a shock. I mean, we don't want to overblow anything, right? It's cold air. It's winter. It's November. We've had events like this before. I remember growing up in Ashtabula County, we would have these big lake effect events in November. It's usually in the 20s, 22, 23rd of November, etc. But so this is a little bit early, but we can deal with it. But October was warm for much of it. We're going down to, like you mentioned, temperatures Wednesday morning in the low teens in spots. Wind chills are going to be near 0, if not below 0 in spots waking up. I mean, this is going to be a shock, and you're going to say, yeah, it's definitely winter.
And it's important for folks to remember. I mean, usually right around this time of year, we do get our first snowfall. So, I mean, this is not anything that's abnormal. Usually right around November 10th, that's usually when we start to get some measurable snow out here. So, this is something that obviously, we want to warn people about. We don't want to overhype this because You know, they hear a lot of this and
It's
they're
winter.
like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
we're going to get,
Yeah.
12, 14 inches. You know, but obviously, look, we've been through this before. Northeast Ohio, we're gonna get through this. And, you know, don't forget, you know, if you see something pretty cool, you know, we would love to see it. You know, please make sure that you either tag the WKYC page or Matt's page or my page at Jason Frazer TV, because I love seeing this
Yeah.
stuff. You know, a lot of times you
From
see
inside.
stuff on, right. Yes, from inside. Don't go outside. But I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times you see stuff on radar
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, oh, that would be really cool.
Is it happening? Yeah.
But you
We're not going to show you, but Betsy's working in the background on the show coming up here at 6. She just completed her iAlert chances for school closing tomorrow, and there are some areas that are
4 zones.
four zones.
Yeah.
So 4 different areas she's got on there. How do you do a 4th layer? I can only get 3 on there. Yeah, boy, master of graphics back there.
You know, I think some kids, Matt, are going to be very happy when they see this.
On not tomorrow morning, you think, Jason?
You know, here's the thing. I do think there might be 1 or 2 school districts who I think might cancel school just out of an abundance. Because obviously, you know, when you're talking about very slick conditions, you know, you got to think about the kiddos as well as, you know, the bus drivers, as well as the administrators. You know, you don't want to put, you know, people's lives in jeopardy. So I would not be surprised to see some cancellations tomorrow. But if you live south of Cleveland, we're talking about Dover, Millersburg. Sorry, kids. I'm not expecting any cancellations.
Yeah, and it all depends on where the Lake Effect band's set up tonight. So we mentioned earlier, I know Facebook Live very transient, so people are in and out, but we were mentioning earlier, once this system snow, everyone gets snow this evening, everyone gets snow early tonight, and then we talk Lake Effect, and some of these depends on where these bands end up setting up and just how high those snowfall rates are within those bands. But we could see 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates at some point during this event. So targeting mainly out east, Lake Geauga, Asheville County. But this is an everybody kind of a thing tonight.
Yeah. So here's what we want to do. Betsy as well as Matt, they got to get ready for the show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get off here and I will go back and I would try to answer any of the questions that you have. And, you know, please, if you're seeing this video after it airs, what we'll try to do is we will also try and answer some of those questions. But we're going to have a lot more information for you coming up tonight at 6 on 3 News.
That's right. So join us on the TV side of things for a little bit. Jason will be answering your questions on here, so feel free to leave them. And your Channel 3 weather team with you through this whole entire event. We'll see you soon, and stay safe, everybody.
Bye-bye.